The question brought before the text this day is this: YHWH is the Ark of the Covenant located at Axum in Ethiopia. And the first verse drawn, the lead verse that opens the inquiry, is First Chronicles chapter 6, verse 3. And the children of Amram, Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Not a location. Not a map. A begetting. A priestly house. Aaron, who stood before the ark, Moses, who heard the voice from between the cherubim. And Miriam, the sister who watched over the basket on the Nile, who kept vigil over the sacred vessel on dark water. The draw does not begin with Solomon. It begins with the house from which the priesthood springs. Now hear what the text does with this question. In 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 12, the Father speaks to David. I will set up your seed after you that will proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. The seed proceeds. It goes out. The covenant does not remain stationary in one city. And in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 12, Solomon sat on the throne of David his dad, and his kingdom was greatly established. The throne is set. The kingdom is made firm. And in 1 Kings chapter 8, verses 15 and 16, Solomon speaks at the dedication of the temple. Since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city out of all the tribes of Israel to build a temple so that my name might be there, but I chose David to be over my people Israel. The original resting place is named Jerusalem. And in 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 15, Solomon prays, You that have observed with your slave David my dad what you have promised him, and spoke with your mouth, and have fulfilled it with your hand, as it is this day. The fulfillment stands. The covenant word is not revoked. But the seed proceeds. And the text narrates the crossing. In 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 18, there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought well. And in Exodus chapter 19, verse 4, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I lifted you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. The sacred is carried. It is brought. And in 1 Chronicles chapter 26, verse 17, the Levitical guard assignments name the directions. Eastward were 6 Levites, northward 4 a day, southward 4 a day, and toward a suppim 2 by 2. Southward. For Levites a day, facing south. Ethiopia lies to the south of Jerusalem. The guard looks southward. And the Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 17, places the beloved on the mountains of Bether. Until the day break, and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young hart upon the mountains of Bether. Bether carries the root meaning of division, of separation. The beloved is on mountains that are separated, divided from the main range, cut off from the body. And the beloved remains there until the day breaks. The full unveiling awaits the appointed season. Now hear the affirmative heart of this draw. 2 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 15. And all Judah rejoiced at the oath, because they had adjured with their entire mind, and sought him with their whole desire, and he was found of them, and YHWH gave them rest all around. He was found of them, by those who sought with their whole desire. And YHWH gave them rest all around. The guardians rest. The sacred rests. The vigil is kept in peace. And in Psalms chapter 63, verse 11, the king will rejoice in Elohim, everyone that adjures by him will glory, but the mouth of them that speak lies will be stopped. If the claim were a lie, the mouth would be stopped. The text does not stop the mouth. And in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15, verse 2, Pilate asks, and the answer comes. You say it. Not a full declaration for the public square. Not a denial. You say it. The truth is affirmed, but the declaration is handed back to the one who asks. This is the posture of the lean. Affirmed, but not displayed. The inner court is entered only by the king's summons. As Esther chapter 4, verse 11 declares, Whoever will come to the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put those to death, except such to whom the king will hold out the golden scepter so that one may live. And yet the text qualifies. In Isaiah chapter 48, verse 1, Hear this, O house of Jacob, that adjure by the name of YHWH, and make mention of the Elohim of Israel, but not in covenant truth, nor in covenant faithfulness. The claim can be made. The name can be invoked. but the substance of covenant truth and covenant faithfulness must accompany the words. And in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 15, keep watch on yourselves with carefulness, because you saw no form of any sort on the day when the voice of YHWH came to you in Horeb out of the center of the supernatural fire. The sacred is not a visible object to be displayed or verified by external eyes. It rests behind a veil. The priesthood is the gate. In Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 25 and 26, YHWH has made you priest in the place of Jehoiada the priest, so that you should be officers in the temple of YHWH. The guardians are appointed by YHWH, and the succession is divine. And in Psalms chapter 84, verse 10, I had rather be a guard in the temple of my Elohim, than to live in the tents of covenant wickedness. The guard stands at the threshold. This is the priesthood of the ark's keeping. The numbers confirm what the text has spoken. The triple convergence of identity, inheritance, and priesthood fires at over 11 times the baseline expectation, at 7 1/3 sigma, a discoverer level signal. The guided draw anomaly measure returns an extreme reading, with a probability of assembly by chance so small it defies ordinary expression. The convergence confidence stands at 88% with all 6 channels active. The polarity tilts affirmative. The claim classification is strong anomaly. All gates pass. 37 direct textual hits against the pre-registered criteria confirm that the vocabulary of this question is woven through the draw far beyond random expectation. And in First Chronicles chapter 29, verse 11, yours, O YHWH, is the greatness, and the power, and the glory, and the victory, and the majesty, because all that is in the cosmos and in the earth is yours. And in Job chapter 41, verse 11, whatever is under the whole cosmos is mine. The ark belongs to YHWH. He knows where his footstool rests. So here is the answer, delivered whole, as Jeremiah delivered every word to Yohanan. The text leans affirmative. The Solomonic thread is unbroken. The seed proceeded. The ferry boat crossed. The beloved is on the mountains of separation. The covenant throne stands unto all the generations, as Enoch chapter 9, verse 3 declares. He was found of them that sought with their whole desire. The mouth that adjures in truth is not stopped. But the sacred is not a possession to be displayed. It is a trust to be guarded. The deepest verification is not geographical but covenantal. You do not need to see it. You need to seek him with your entire mind, and he will be found of you. The answer is, you say it. Affirmed. Guarded. Kept in safety by the one who puts in safety him that breathes on him, as Psalms chapter 12, verse 5 promises. The ark belongs to YHWH. The inheritance is YHWH himself. Selah. The verses drawn in this Shield 17.14 session were First Chronicles chapter 6, verse 3. Luke chapter 18, verse 36. First Chronicles chapter 14, verse 4. Genesis chapter 31, verse 14. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 25 to 26. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 24. This concludes today's interpretation under the Shield Protocol.